What is it called, Joy?
Well, a lot of people refer to it as like broken wing syndrome. That's kind of like the umbrella or the need to fix broken people. I think when you grow up, even as a pastor's kid or just any young person who's growing up in a service-oriented household, I think it's kind of easy to adopt just that tendency to go fix people to where those are the spouses that you pick. And I think that's kind of why there's a stereotype around pastors' kids or different people, because I think there's an element of just good inside of them that always wants to help people. And I think that can also land you in potentially dangerous situations and relationships like that.
Yeah, I have a dear cousin who was teaching me that a lot of times when you have a type of personality that's so giving and wants to help people, they will draw narcissist people because opposites attract. So she was just saying, if you have a really sweet, giving personality and you're looking for a spouse, you need to watch that.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Movie Scenes and Great Books. I'm your host, Joy Victoria.
I'm Christina Harris.
And today we are going to be covering the recently released movie,
Divorce in the Black.
So this movie is directed by Tyler Perry, starring Megan Good. So today we're really going to be looking at scenes that kind of bring us into an analyzation of different character traits, especially within a relationship. So we're kind of looking at the heart of a good or bad man and just asking different questions about why certain women choose certain spouses. So let's get into it.
So here you have the preacher doing something very controversial. Normally when you go to funerals, people always try to say something good about that person. So you have the preacher here actually saying most likely he went to hell. And his mom and all his brothers are there, so of course they're highly offended to the point where the mom says, you know what, I don't care if you pay for the funeral, I don't care if you pay for the casket, get my son out of there. And she orders her sons around, and this time she orders them to actually carry her son's dead body and get it out the casket and carry it out to church.
Right, and the crazier thing here is, for anyone who has not yet seen the movie, the preacher's daughter here, who's played by Megan Good, is married to one of the brothers of the person who they're holding the funeral service for. So it's a lot of just family tension going on here.
Boys, get Cody. Get him!
Come on, boy. Yep.
Dallas.
Deacon, let him go. Back up, just let him go. Let him go.
Miss Linda. You did this! Hell no! Now you watch your mouth in this church.
This was such like a bang of an opening scene, and I think instantly here you see the contrast between the two different families that are associated by marriage. You just see it clearly and instantly here.
Whew. Talk about two different sides of the track.
Right.
Ava and Dallas. I mean, and you know what I noticed about the mom? She says, get him out that casket. We don't want them to say they paid for anything.
Yeah.
And that shows me a lot about this woman. She's so prideful. And it makes sense that her sons grew up to be the way they did, because when you're so prideful and you can't be corrected.
You think I need these hand-me-down clothes that your mama gave me? Huh? I don't.
This is a reason how this could happen.
Yeah. So definitely extreme pride is kind of like a red flag.
There you go.
Yeah.
Extreme pride.
I can't. I actually need to go get Dallas and we need to get back to Atlanta.
Ava, baby, where is the line? Where is it? What does that boy have to do for you to walk away?
You and Mama have taught me since I was a little girl to be a good wife, to stand by my husband, to stay in the marriage. That is what you preached. That is what I saw you live, no matter what.
Ava, me and your daddy, we ain't never been you in Dallas.
Well, Mama, that's why you gotta let me do what's best for me.
I like that. And the way she said it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, here, so you have this sweet girl who was clearly raised in a nice family, a nice household. Her dad's the preacher, like her dad's the pastor. And I think I want to know from your standpoint, do you think there's a such thing as raising your daughters to be too submissive to the point where they will stay in a bad relationship and not have that line because they want to be so committed?
Ooh, I think she had problems way before the commitment. I think her problem was in her choice and who she committed to. Definitely see where she's using what her parents taught her, but she's not doing what her parents taught her.
Yeah. And sometimes in life that happens where you're applying all of these principles. It's like how people get mad at that thing, like submit to your spouse, but it's under the guidelines that everyone's kind of submitting to God and following one authority. So when people kind of use it in the wrong context, you can get situations like this, right?
Yeah, people forget that all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, her parents, you can see the pain in their eyes, hear the pain in their voice. Like, I mean, what is it going to take for you to wake up and see that this is not the guy for you?
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, against her parents' wishes, she goes and she gets her husband from the home where all the family had a conflict with her dad as he was preaching the funeral, to the point where they carried their dead brother out of the church, and she goes to the home of this family, which is her husband's family.
It's the last time that I let you embarrass me in front of my family, Ava. And you set us up.
That's your damn problem. You're always trying to change me, woman. That's what you're trying to do. Instead of liking me the way that I am and how I do things.
I'm not trying to change you.
Corey is acting. He acted this whole movie. He acted.
He did a stellar job.
He did. He really did. Okay.
I'm wondering, can he play... I would like to see him play a good guy.
Like his range.
Yeah, I want to see his acting
because
range.
there are a number of projects where he's playing not exactly a character like this, but it's something not quite like good
likable.
guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'd like to see him play a protagonist.
There was a movie, he wasn't the lead, but he was kind of like a background of like a military kind of like movie in the back. He looked good in there.
American Sniper?
Was that the movie?
I think it was.
Yeah, he looked good. Like I could see him play a good role.
Yeah,
a good guy.
You could see it a little bit there.
Wow.
Yeah. No, he's good though. So a few key words here that I think kind of make you go, So firstly, it's when Dallas here says, "Stop trying to change me," and he's exclaiming that she needs to accept him the way he is. There's like two different perspectives that you can look at this from, because one, firstly, it sounds like a red flag of a phrase to say, "Stop trying to change me." It sounds prideful and arrogant. And then I think there's the other side of that, where some therapists will say the beginning of a divorce is the moment you try to change your spouse.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, what are your thoughts kind of on that?
I think that change needs to happen where it needs to happen.
Yeah.
I've never believed in like where people don't need to change. I don't think someone can do it for the other person. But it clearly here, this girl is in a no-win situation.
Right.
Everything she does, everything she says, every way she says it is rejected and twisted and turned.
Yeah.
She tried to give his brother a proper funeral. And, you know, she's being attacked and saying that it was your fault.
Yeah.
You know, that you set me up.
Yeah.
He even says that the people were laughing when they carried his brother out the church.
So it's
I didn't hear anybody laughing.
accusatory language.
I mean, all accusations. And then he says, "You're trying to change me." And she says, "I call it love." And then he says, "Get your profane word, get your hands off me." Like, you know, it's just, you can tell she just can't win here.
Yeah. And in a situation like this where her father was asking where is the line, is it like, is she supposed to leave on this day?
Yeah, and also, addressing that. It would be tough to leave your husband on a day where his brother died. So even though she looks so just foolish walking up there looking for her husband, she also feels really sorry for him. So all of these accusations he's doing, all of this anger, it can be passed off as, oh, he's just hurt because his brother died. But the truth is, he's been doing this for years. This is a
character thing.
Yeah, he's been doing this for years.
That's why I think an underlying theme of what's going on is kind of like talking about past trauma.
Yeah.
Your past trauma affects all your relationships in the future, because you can see with his mom how they were raised. If they actually buried everyone right on their land. And he said he should have been buried right here. Dallas is wrong, but I do think sometimes you should listen to your wife. You should listen to your wife when she's trying to give you something good. But when it's your brother, since that's her brother, so that's the mother's son, I'm more of a person as a spouse. I'm going to step back and I'm going to I don't want to overstep my bounds. Since that's my brother, I'm going to give that authority to the mother about what she wants to do and her wishes. If something happened to my sister-in-law, I'm not going to try and push what they do. I'm going to give that authority to her parents. I know he's wrong how they wrote this, but I'm just saying
wise. That's wise to do that.
But he's wrong anyway. It goes.
That's wise to do that. Nevertheless, her heart was trying to do what's right. I think the motive is more important.
That's right.
Right.
And wisdom tells you that, and experience tells you that. But her motive wasn't.
It was
that
good.
And also, she couldn't control what her dad said. There was no way that she was negligent in what happened.
Yeah, but
there was no way she could have known it was going to go down like that.
No, and no one would ever think that. But I have a question for you, because she said I wanted him to have a proper burial. So that's where they come from, two different places. Because to the mom and their family, I felt it
when I said it right now. She wanted him to have a proper. Yeah. To them, that's offensive. But again, I think that's pride.
What if somebody has a history of burying their people on their land or in their area, or doing something in a certain manner where there's a conflict because people actually have different maybe communication styles or methods of how something's
leave that
done.
alone.
See,
I just feel like that's the whole issue,
honey.
and them being incompatible, and they should never be together. They're just not.
That's a problem.
Compatible. You know,
they're not compatible.
Yeah.
And this goes into one of the themes. It is very dangerous when you have a personality that you want to save someone. So even
broken wing syndrome.
What is it called, Joy?
Well, a lot of people refer to it as like broken wing syndrome. That's kind of like the umbrella.
Take these broken wings. Broken wing syndrome. Oh, thank you. I just learned something. If that is why you're in a relationship, because you want to save that person, that will not endure, because you can't save anyone.
Yeah.
Right. My mom would always say, you want two whole people to marry one another, two whole people, as opposed to you wanting to fix someone.
Yeah.
It's very important.
True.
Yeah.
So in this scene, Dallas is actually he's with all his brothers in a bar, in the pool lounge, and then he sends her out, basically just talking to her vile and wrong, and basically telling her to get out of there. She needs to leave, go to the car. So on her way out, she actually runs into her teenage love, Benji. So at this point, we're gonna see what follows.
Yeah.
Ava? Hey.
Hey, Benji.
Okay, here we are, the Bertrands. They come on out and they see Ava. You see Ava and Benji. Ava's walking out the bar because what's name was being mean and rude. Her and Benji.
Husband, Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas and Ava Dallas was being terrible to her.
Yeah.
He sends her out he goes out, Ava's walking, they see Benji, and all of a sudden Ava kind of looks back like, is Dallas looking? And they say, hey, Benji. And then they give each other a little hug, like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. And then all of a sudden, while they're talking, they see each other for the first time in a while. Here comes Dallas and his brothers. And just a little take, if you haven't seen the movie, it actually says that the Bertrand, the brothers, they beat Benji up when he was 17, and they put him in the hospital. So this is what's taking place at this time.
They beat him up and put him in the hospital when they were dating, and that was something that divided them. So here is where you see that Benji ended up getting a divorce, and so did Ava. So they think they should have been together the first time, and her parents think he was a much more well-mannered guy. And so a lot of times this happens in real life, and there are vital consequences. So he tells him right here, you're wrong.
Right.
And see, Dallas considers that guy his friend. And he's telling him he's wrong. He never did stop and repent. He didn't change directions in his behavior. He's asking her for a divorce in the middle of a nice restaurant.
Right.
That he left her and arrived by himself. He went there and left his wife at home. Yeah, so that's what is a big part of the problem. His friend, whom he seems to trust, looks at him and he says it twice. He says, Dallas. And he says it loving, you're wrong.
Right.
You're wrong. So this is just a key indicator if a marriage is going to make it or not. Because when someone is being told over and over that they're headed in the wrong direction and they can't just change directions, then this is where he just lost it all.
Yeah, right. Okay, so here, I think this is a very common thing that happens where you have two good people, two good parents who've raised their kid, just to do better for themselves. And I want to know, do you think a lot of that guilt should be on the parent? Like how she's apologizing here. Do you think that's the right thing to do necessarily?
I appreciated it.
Yeah.
I appreciated it for two reasons in this scene. One of them, she said, I was there for everybody at church.
Yeah.
And I should have been there for you more.
Yeah.
I've personally seen that happen. And for me seeing it happen, I believe it helped me avoid doing that because I was a pastor's wife for a short period of time. And I would be dragging my kids around here and there to go pick up this person, that person. And I looked at my son's shoes on the wrong foot. And it probably happens a lot, but it spoke volumes to me. And I thought, you know what? I need to prioritize my kids.
Yeah.
Not saying that every pastor's wife has to not be a pastor's wife, but if you are a pastor's wife, it is good to prioritize your kids because you don't get those years back. So here she believes that she should have been there for her more. And also I respect the fact that she apologized so many years later. And also if they watch the movie, you'll see where she says, and if I haven't told you, I'm proud of you. I didn't want you to be an arrogant person, but I see here where your self-esteem needed to be a little bit better. And I was always proud of you, but I never wanted to say it. And I'm sorry for that. And I respect that apology.
I think it's a great thing when parents admit their faults. I think it's refreshing for the parent, and it's also freeing for the child. And I think that's a point where people can feel the grace of God.
Yeah, and just speaking on kind of what I was saying about broken wing syndrome or the need to fix broken people, I think when you grow up, even as a pastor's kid or just any young person who's growing up in a service-oriented household, I think it's kind of easy to adopt just that tendency to go fix people to where those are the spouses that you pick. And I think that's kind of why there's a stereotype around pastors' kids or different people.
There is.
Because I think there's an element of just good inside of them that always wants to help people. And I think that can also land you in potentially dangerous situations and relationships like that.
Yeah, I have a dear cousin who was teaching me that a lot of times when you have a type of personality that's so giving and wants to help people, they will draw narcissist people. Because opposites attract. So she was just saying, if you have a really sweet, giving personality and you're looking for a spouse, you need to watch that.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah. And how do you think you can kind of keep the balance of, if you are a person like this character, how do you keep the balance of staying this sweet person who cares about the well-being of others and like avoiding getting yourself into relationships like that? Like, how do you kind of balance that?
Good question. What you think, Joe?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing when you're a godly young lady and you're sweet and you're a preacher's kid. You should be raised up with some type of wisdom and understanding. I actually think you continue to be sweet and loving to other people, to all people. When it comes to relationships and actually making a commitment with someone, that's where it's different. It's kind of like, because that's a partner. That's going to be your partner for life and your teammate. So during that time, I think that's why it's important to have your boundaries and just make sure you stay true to your boundaries, and you're praying and giving yourself time to observe this person and their family. And it'll help you be more informed in your decision making. And I think that'll save you from a lot of things. And I know it's not on here, but not having sex before marriage would be one thing. I think when people aren't with each other sexually before they're married and they have abstinence, I think that's a good one to make sure you're upholding. Protecting yourself and getting counsel from wiser people as you're courting, when you're dating, and then other people, things that you might not be able to see, other wise people that you respect and that therefore you're good. And when they give you good sound advice, they might see things that you don't see and take them to heart.
And like in talking about wanting to fix broken people or whatnot, I think people kind of get confused between saying like, oh, you can only select a spouse who's grown up in a perfect circumstance. But there are people who have gone through a lot of things and have been through a lot of traumatic experiences, but they've already kind of done the work to try to heal from those experiences, and they've kind of lowered their pride and have had more of a humble attitude to fix those problems. So kind of when we're looking at people with a family who may not have done the work that they've done to better themselves, what do you guys think about entering a relationship with people who are in that circumstance?
I definitely think you're right. If you are choosing to love someone who's been through so much trauma and they've done the work, that's different, because that shows that they will change. You know, we're talking about being able to change directions when you're on a wrong trajectory as a man or a woman. Not going the same thing and just crash out the same bad direction. Just I mean, Dallas
is a crash out. You sit up in the middle of the restaurant. This is crashing out.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that is the word for this. He crashed out. And and I think that when you are sweet, be sweet to your be sweet
to your therapist, to your counselor.
Yes, be sweet. If you're a sweet person and you attract narcissists or people who are just crazy or broken and need to be fixed, be sweet to your parents. Be sweet to the people who are saying, hey, watch these red flags. And you can be a friend to people who need so much fixing. To an extent, but getting into a love relationship, it has to be two whole people. And you see your friend, they'll see your friend in the movie say, you always took stray cats in, you have that personality. So being aware that you have that personality is good.
Anybody, like when you look at Dallas's tendencies, I mean, he's drinking, it looks like he's drunk, he's out of his mind, he's angry. He's harsh, he's talking very vulgar, all those things. It doesn't matter what family you're from. You know what I mean? Everybody can have wrong tendencies,
no-no.
whatever, whether you come from a 2-parent home or a broken home, wherever you come from. So I think God is a judge of the heart.
Yeah.
And God judges the inside of people. And it doesn't really matter where you come from. The insides can be corrupt and bad. And so that's evidence the way Dallas was acting. You don't want anybody from anywhere acting like that.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter where you come from. You don't want a spouse like that, period.
And when we're talking about, you often hear this phrase that you kind of attract what you are. So I wonder how much that phrase applies when you have someone who seems like a whole person here, like her, who's married to someone who seems so broken like Dallas. And I want to know, do you think it's a flaw within her or a brokenness within her to even pick
that's
a man
good question,
like this?
Joy. Great question.
Yeah,
Okay.
when you say you attract who you are, ooh. What do you think?
I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's really that thing of there are these people who want to just be caretakers and fix everybody, or is there some similarity you're seeing in this other person?
Do you think there's a level of low self-esteem there?
Well,
because that's what our mom, that's
definitely.
what Debbie Morgan, the pastor's wife was saying.
Yeah. And I do think, like, if you're in a household with maybe a pastor or just parents who are very, I don't want to use the word perfect, but who have a really good image and really good character behind closed doors, maybe that could also feel like a burden to be perfect, to where a child does have low self-esteem because of that.
Measuring themselves against a parent, she could feel flawed.
Yeah.
Like the mom said, oh, we ain't never been like y'all.
You and Dallas,
Yeah, those kind of moments. But
so maybe the flaw is low self-esteem. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe so.
Yeah.
I don't know that part, but whether it's low self-esteem or not, the decision to get into a romantic relationship thinking you're going to fix somebody is not the move.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then where is that line between this person just has a few flaws and I'm fixing them? Like, where is that line?
Friendship.
Yeah, but I'm saying, how do you kind of differentiate between someone who has issues that are too severe to even deal with in a romantic context versus someone who's working on themselves, but they're not fully, no one's fully arrived. So where is
because nobody's perfect.
Yeah,
I think that Joe said it really good. I mean, he's harsh. He's speaking vulgar. He's having outbursts. He has a lack of self-control.
Yeah.
So if you go study the fruits of the Spirit in the Bible, line that up for a spouse. And if you should see more of those than less, because those right there, it's just a no-go. That's beyond
the works of the devil.
Yes, it's beyond I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but dang. You gotta be, you know what I mean? Like, just cussing her out, just
it's bad.
Calling her names, cussing her parents out, putting your hands on people, throwing things. Okay, those are just beyond.
I would say a sign for you too, Joy, or any lady out there, young girl. Also, at the beginning of the movie, remember when we saw the scene when they were in the funeral service in the church? You want a man that listens and respects his parents. But when you get married, the Bible says, and the two shall become one flesh. And what God has put together, it said, let no man put asunder. So I think it's very important. Did you see when the mom was talking, get him, and she was commanding her boys, get them all up, and he just jumped up. Yes. I think at that point, he's married. Dallas is married to Ava, and they're one. So at that point, he should be siding with his wife, even over his mom.
Yeah.
Over his mom. So I think he's like, he should be thanking his wife, oh, my wife done did something nice. She done tried to do something nice. She got her dad and everything. And so he should have protected his wife at that time in the church service. And then maybe grabbed his mom, say, hey, Mom, let's talk about this. And go from that point to try and resolve. But all her boys, it looked like she was controlling all her boys. When they said, When she said jump, they all jump.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem sometimes when you marry somebody.
So mama's boys are red flags.
It's
no.
It's not a mama's boy. It's not that. It's when that mama saying jump and for the wrong
a cult type following, even in
yeah.
It was like the Bertrands, they just have, and again, it's because you can't be corrected.
Yeah.
When you can't be corrected and only what you do it, everything your mom says, even if it's wrong.
Yeah. That's a problem.
That's funny. Cult following between mom and kid.
To listen to your parents by any means necessary when your mom's leading wrong. And when you marry, that's you and your spouse.
Yeah.
And I would say cult is if it's not what God says in the Bible. That's cult.
Yeah.
So if she's doing things out of pride, that's unacceptable to the father.
Because Ava was being respectful of her mother-in-law. She was trying to be respectful.
Yeah,
and so when you have a woman or you have a man they should be respectful of your parents and love them like their own. They should honor them. And so I think when they're honoring them, that's when you go with what the parent is saying. You guys should be honoring each other's parents. And it works for you guys.
So speaking of poor choices in men, it's good to look at a good example. And here Ava's father, the preacher, is telling his daughter, don't act like you don't have a good example.
Yeah.
Don't act like you don't have a good example to follow, because I showed you what a good man was. And this is what a good man does. And here Richard Lawson goes into this excellent monologue.
So good.
The monologue was excellent, and he drove the point very well. And I think if there was good deeds done by Tyler Perry in the film, here is where it is.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of the whole film.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, what a true, touching, and also frightening monologue, because when someone's raised with examples like that, it's so difficult to understand why they would take something so contrary to a great example.
It is.
And that's the question, why? Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Crickets. Why would someone with such an outstanding father figure put up with that? Do you think there's a level, and she says it throughout the film, do you think there's just a level of embarrassment with a man treating you so poorly that maybe if a woman like her wasn't expecting it and then it happens, she's too embarrassed to get out of the relationship because she doesn't want to disappoint such good parents? Do you think that's what it is?
And she keeps hiding it.
Yeah.
But after you keep hiding it, when your parents say, I know he doesn't treat you good.
Yeah.
It's beyond
that.
Because
it's already out in the open.
It's out in the open.
So what is that? Why do you think women cling to such bad partners sometimes when they have examples like Mr. Clarence here in this movie?
I would like to know.
Yeah.
I would like to know. I wonder if they even know why.
Yeah, I have a few if you want to ask me.
Yeah.
Please. I think girls or even guys, I think girls choose bad guys even when they had good examples in their parents. It could be one of the things is what you mentioned in one of the other videos. I remember you talking about, I didn't know about it, but I remember you talking about attachment styles.
Oh,
and so one of the things is, and the mom is here saying, hey, I wasn't there, baby, all the time. I was so busy helping other people that I left some gaps and some holes there.
Yeah.
And that's part of attachment styles.
Yeah,
so sometimes when you're not there,
true.
it's something that has happened when you're developing and growing. There's something within you, like you said, I believe water seeks its level. You know what I mean? When it comes to relationships. So you asked the question earlier, you said, why do girls choose a bad guy when they're so sweet? You're talking about when someone's sweet. Why do they choose someone that's kind of harsh or bad? So I think one of the things might be attachment styles. I think other things.
And attachment style, it's interesting because if you study that, it has a lot to do with your primary caretaker, your mother, most of the time. And a lot of times they kind of get that theory from how a child was raised as a newborn, more so.
That early?
That early. So, but then it can also be throughout your life. So her mom's to blame here. Is that what you're saying? Kind of.
Well, Debbie Morgan, she took responsibility.
Yeah.
And in me personally, I don't like when girls talk to one another, and in the movie, you know how her and her friends, they're calling each other bees. I don't like that. You know what I mean? And so I think sometimes the media or peer pressure also is a contributing factor. Just because you have good examples and learn things at home, as you go out in the world with media, with peers, in your schools, wherever you are, there's a lot more influences there.
Yeah.
So you have to.
That's such a good point.
Yeah. That's a good point, Joe, because it's like a type of grooming
Yeah.
to make it acceptable to be spoken to in a harsh way, in a derogatory way.
Yeah. Why would you and your girl call each other bees, and then you get mad when your man call you a bee? That's how y'all talk. I'm not saying it's not right for a man to do that, but that language and that kind of communication, it's not good, in my opinion.
So you're saying a lot of times people can end up faulting someone's parents when there's so many other influences at play in a life.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think that's fair to say because I think as soon as like a child or someone screws up, you always look at what did their parents do wrong, and sometimes that's just not. That's simply not really the case.
Right. And you can see that the mom was really saying, I love when she said, I'm sorry, baby, I'm proud of you. Yeah. Sometimes just not, they might have not told her, reinforce good things for her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though they're a great parent, they're helping people, sometimes that personal worth, or that personal value, and it's not always just the parent's fault. For whatever reason, you know, you don't have the worth and the value in yourself that you need in choosing somebody of more value.
I do think it's worth the parents apologizing for whatever part they thought they played in that. Yeah. Clear the air, get that out the way, and then at a point, teach your adult child or your adult children that now you're an adult. So it's on you now. Yeah. You are responsible for your actions and for your choices, and you are responsible for who you choose to love, who you choose to enter a covenant relationship with, marriage. You're responsible for that choice.
That's right.
What do you think, Joy? Have you seen this before? What do you?
Yeah, a lot more than I want to. Honestly,
funny.
So why have you seen that people have chosen?
I try to figure it out every day, and I cannot.
You don't have answers.
Yeah.
Is it a subject that frequently bothers you, Joy?
No. I want to say. Okay, here's even a thing. I was having a conversation last year with one of my friends, and she was on the phone with a friend of hers who is in a poor relationship where this guy is just treating her terribly. Very talented girl, a lot of good qualities. And my friend was kind of outraged on the phone trying to convince this friend that she deserves better and that she should leave him and that they shouldn't be together. I'm at the point, and some people will think this is mean, some people will think this is not the way to handle it, and I'm not saying it's right. It's just kind of the philosophy or just the actions that I've adopted. I'm at the point where I don't even care to convince someone who's been told to leave, who's been told that they're worth more than being in a relationship, that they're worth more. I'm not into reiterating that over and over again if someone does not listen and someone seems like they need to be there. Maybe that's not right on my part, though, because maybe I just don't understand it because I've never had to go through it.
Do you feel like at that point, so you're saying when it's repeatedly been done, do you feel at that point like it's approaching an addict?
Yeah, I feel like it's a type of addiction to where
they have to hit rock bottom for themselves.
No, it's more so like, I cannot help you. You need to go find something that's like rehab. Because I can't help you just by saying I think you're worth more than being in that situation. And then I wonder how much is enabling. How do you approach the situation without, enabling?
Yeah, and so on the flip side of this, you have the person who's doing the offenses, right? Mm-hmm. So you have Dallas here, who crashed out, who was just
crashed out. Yeah,
he just didn't have any no holds barred. Yeah. But what if you're that person?
If you're Dallas,
yeah,
and I wonder for that person,
what should Dallas
how do you make the decision to go get help? Because throughout the movie, Ava was telling Dallas that he needs to go seek help. Again and again, he was offended.
What is that? Go get help.
Go to therapy, go to church, go do some self-examination and reflection.
Is there therapy available that's not costly? Because what if someone's like, I can't afford that.
YouTube.
I think the key word, you said it earlier, Joy, put in the work.
Yeah.
It's going to take work.
It's going to take work.
And marriage takes work, and relationships take work, and self-improvement takes work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it takes humility.
I would say this for some girls. Mm-hmm. At the beginning of the movie, what happened when Ava saw Benji and all the Bertrands came out, what happened? They said when he was 17 years old, this happens.
Yeah.
When he was 17 years old, all them brothers.
He got beat up.
He got beat up and put him in the hospital. Now, check this out. When he put him in the hospital, that means that they had a sense of power. Mm. Sometimes nice girls feel protected. They feel cared for, and sometimes that girl will go with those tougher boys.
Ooh.
That because they feel protected.
Good
so the
point.
Bertrands are running around. They older now.
Yeah.
You got to think this is later in life. So Benji, sometimes you have a late bloomer because Benji said that he was smaller back then when he got beat up. Now he grew and he bigger now.
Yeah.
And now he's more aware. So he feels like he can handle himself better. But at 17, he got beat up by all the brothers.
He got jumped.
Jumped.
So do you believe in that statement, like, nice guys finish last? Do you really think that's typically the truth?
I think scary guys who don't want to talk to girls sometimes.
Wait, explain. Okay, explain your definition of scary.
Yeah, I think scary guys, they not going to get no girl hardly.
Wait, okay, explain. What do you mean by scary?
Scary, like scared to talk to girls, to approach the girls, to go get what you want.
And you think that's synonymous with guys or men who are nicer and kinder in general?
No. You can be nice and kind. Those are great qualities. You should be nice and kind. Just like Dallas, he's mean and harsh. He's the opposite.
Right.
So he loses the woman.
Yeah.
He loses the woman because he's not right.
Yeah.
You can't keep anything. And why do you want to be mean and harsh to your woman?
Right.
But what I'm saying is when you're younger or whatever age you are, the nice guy, if the guy is nice and kind and too shy, where he doesn't want to approach girls, be more proactive.
Okay, so I don't think nice is synonymous with shy.
Yeah.
I agree.
don't either.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So you don't agree with that statement, nice guys finish last?
I don't.
No, I don't either. Okay. I don't agree with that statement. But scary guys finish last.
Okay. Interesting.
Fear of talking to the girl. I think it was good. Like Benji seemed like a guy that tried to respect himself at first. He was in temptation, and they were on a truck.
No, we are not going to that scene.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, I think it's relevant because I think it's another thing. Okay. Well, you're a nice girl, but are you doing what you've been taught?
Yeah.
Because I believe God tells you to wait till marriage for a reason. I believe that is a red flag that shouldn't be crossed. Because if somebody is worth sleeping with, they should be worth marrying.
Right.
And if somebody, I learned something later in life. If a guy can wait and have that type of discipline, he's going to make a better husband because he can be disciplined when you're married.
Right.
So there's reasons for that that you won't know until you're in it. And they did the wrong thing.
What did we learn from this movie?
I learned that if you're the offender, listen to people around you and change directions. And it takes humility to do that. Be humble. If somebody looks you in your face who you know loves you and say, you're wrong. You're wrong. Yeah. Do whatever you got to do to change and make it right.
From this film, Divorce in the Black, I learned, and I love this quote by the character Clarence, played by Mr. Richard Lawson. He says, "Don't be misery's company." And I think that's a good one. Don't be misery's company. So yeah, that was one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah, in conclusion, Divorce in the Black was a challenging movie. It was hard. You know, I don't like to see families break up and break down. And I learned there's a lot of trauma, a lot of drama, and a lot of conflict and problems from this movie in marriage. I'm glad that Clarence and his wife, the preacher, they were good examples in the movie. And he stood up for his family. He was trying to reach out in a positive way to the community. It's relatable because there's so many different traumas that different families go through.
Today's Great Books recommendation is Self-Reliance by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Interestingly enough, I found out about this book a few years back because one of my mentors, Mr. Richard Lawson, who plays Clarence in this movie, he actually recommended this book to me. I think it's one of his favorites, and ever since then it's been very dear to me. It's just one of the great works. I think this is considered to be one of the greatest contributions actually to literature and writing.
Wow.
So we're actually going to be debuting our interview with Mr. Richard Lawson next week, so make sure that you guys stay tuned for that. We're going to be covering a little bit about the movie Divorce in the Black. We're going to be diving into why this book is actually so important to Mr. Lawson, and there is so much wisdom, so many gems, and so much entertainment within this interview, so I definitely recommend watching it next week. We're so excited to share.
Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes.
We'll see y'all next time.
And as always, feel free to comment any movie recommendations that y'all have for us so that we can react to it. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.